Turn it on right now. Hey guys, I got Rob Kosberg online right now. Rob Kosberg is from Bestseller Publishing. What's going on, Rob? How you doing,
buddy,
brother?
how you doing? Woo-hoo! Great to be with you, man.
Appreciate you being here, man. So Rob crushes it, helps people all the time getting #1 bestsellers on Amazon, as well as several other people out there around the country. He speaks on Fox News. I've seen him all over the news media broadcasts, and I think the thing that I remember most about Rob is his ability to help people, transfer their knowledge and become not just bestsellers, but also best selling, which is always good, right? Selling their books, right? And getting out there so they get customers. So Rob's got some awesome, cool techniques he's going to share with us today. And Rob, take it away, brother. I want you to kind of let the world know what you're doing right now.
I'd love to, man. Before I even do that, I want to make sure that I share this to my feed. So I'm going to go ahead and share it to my feed just to make sure that we're both getting it. Okay. Awesome. On live with Daryl. Beautiful. Here we go, baby. So very cool. So yeah, bestseller publishing, we've been doing it now for 6 years, which, it's been nothing but fun, obviously lucrative, but people that I get to meet with are incredible. So we do everything from soup to nuts. So we have 7 full-time writers. We write books for our clients. We've written books for U.S. ambassadors, Fortune 500 CEOs, people in Hollywood, even professional athletes, and accountants and financial advisors in 26 different industries, 12 different countries. We then do a big promotion, and probably it would be worthwhile to talk about that because more and more the whole Amazon bestseller thing, the way so many people do it, it just, as my business partner likes to say, marketers ruin everything, Daryl, meaning that, people come in and have found a scammy way to quote unquote be an Amazon bestseller. And what I mean by that is, they'll find a cheesy little category and they'll get 5 of their friends to buy the book at the same time. And now they're a bestseller. And that's just totally ridiculous. We launched a book for a client last week. In the first 5 days, we had 5,000 downloads of that book. I posted the results to my timeline. Actually, it was like 4,800 and something. That's in the first week alone. And so when we do a book launch, it's not one of these cheesy Amazon bestseller where, anybody that gets 5 sales can claim it. No, it's a full week where, the book's going to be in thousands of your potential clients' hands. And then we actually do the PR stuff. We book our clients on real television, all over the country. Every single week, our clients are on TV, radio. We've had clients on Howard Stern. We've had clients in U.S. News and World Report, Fortune Magazine, Success Magazine, Forbes, you name it. So anyway, I don't want to make it all about me, but just to be clear, that's what we do, baby.
So one of the big things, Rob, is originally you didn't start out doing this. This one wasn't your life's calling and stuff like that. You were doing a completely other different business. And I know it was in the mortgage business, and you were working hard in that. You were doing very well, and you had to go through that downturn a little bit, had to reinvent yourself even.
A little bit?
Just a little bit, right?
A little bit. Look, I backed my way into this, to be really honest, probably like other people have done, but I was in the real estate industry. I got my real estate license when I was 18 years old. My dad owned a real estate company. I sold real estate through college, paid my way through college, selling real estate, owned my first home at 18, that kind of thing. And, by the time I'm in my early 40s, I owned 3 really successful real estate related companies, mortgage, title, real estate, all my eggs in that basket though. And this was all in South Florida. And as an example, 2006, we did over $100 million in transactions that year. 2008, we did 0. I closed the doors to my business in 2008. So, I wish it would have gone to 50 million. If it got cut in half.
Yeah, cut in half would have been okay. The 0. It's hard to buy groceries with 0.
For sure, man. Most people think their business gets cut in half. It's tragedy, right? Well, my business got cut by 100%, and so
that's a big loss.
That sucks, man. It was. Look, I can certainly laugh about it now because it's almost 10 years later.
Yeah.
But the reality is, it was hugely painful. I was in my early 40s at that time. 3 kids in private school. Lived in a very, very expensive home. I had all the trappings of having made millions of dollars, and now I wasn't making anything. And pulling art off the wall that I had paid hundreds of thousands of dollars for and selling it for 10 cents on the dollar to buy my kids Christmas presents and pay my, my mortgage and stuff. I mean, it was awful. And so around that time, I was in a couple of coaching groups because I've always believed that is necessary. And, I knew I was getting out of real estate. I needed to transition. I was already tired of it, let alone the downturn. And I'd gotten some advice from a couple of guys about starting a new business in a brand new industry where I was totally unknown. And both of the coaches felt like the best way to do it would be for me to write a book and to position myself as an authority. I knew a lot about the industry. I was an expert in the financial industry, but I was not an authority in the industry. I was unknown. And, thank God I took their advice and I did it. I made a lot of mistakes. I wasted a lot of money. I wasted a lot of time. But I wrote the book. The book became successful. I became a bestseller. It actually helped me to get on radio. Radio was kind of my big break back in 2009. I started doing, radio interviews locally in South Florida, and people started coming to me, like being attracted to me because I was on the radio, I was a best-selling author, and they needed help. And my business started growing, and within about a year, that brand new business had done over $1 million in income. In a terrible economy. I mean, the same economy, 2009, that I had closed my previous business down to.
So as people's businesses were imploding around you, you were exploding because you took your knowledge and stuff you'd learned. And I knew you're really good at marketing in the real estate world. I mean, you had written books over there. I remember you done, right? And then
I had not. I mean, we were doing primarily newspaper print ads.
Okay.
For the real estate industry. That seems so archaic now, doesn't it?
Yeah, they have newspapers anymore?
Yeah, I think they still do. But we were spending $20,000 a month on print ads, and it was going fantastic. I didn't have a book or anything at that time. The first book I wrote was for my financial services company, and that's when it exploded. And so, I backed into the publishing business because people's businesses were, as you say, imploding, just like mine had previously. They saw my business exploding, and so people started coming to me asking me, what are you doing? How are you doing this? Can you help me to do it? And I didn't know if I could, but I started helping people to write their book, to launch their book, and then to use it as a marketing tool to grow their business. And that's how Bestseller Publishing was born.
There it is, the birth.
Yeah, that's right. And I fell in love with it so much. I mean, my financial services company was still exploding. We were still doing millions of dollars a year in revenue, but I fell in love with this business, and I sold my financial services company about 4 years ago. I was doing both of them at the same time for a while, but then I sold it, and I do this exclusively.
Tell us about some of the books you've written. I know last weekend you had an awesome event, which I was really wanted to go to, but I was hanging out with Matt, and Matt was like, "You're not going anywhere."
I know, dude. Come on, you were supposed to be there. Katarina was there. At least she was there for half a day or something. I mean, she didn't come back on Saturday. So Katarina, you missed a great day.
She's a busy bee. So with that being said, but I mean, tell us about some of the stories. I remember the gentleman who came to speak last weekend. Tell us about that, and tell us about some of the events that you do and how people learn more about what you're doing and get in some of the magic, some of the secrets you're doing with these people to get them on radio, get them on TV.
Yeah. No, it's really fun. I mean, there's a lot of steps in the process, but if I could distill it, I'd say that, first and foremost, you need to have your authority piece. You need to have something that sets you head and shoulders above the crowd. And for my clients, that's a best-selling book. It can't just be any old book. It has to be the right book. It has to be written to hook your ideal client. It has to be niche down so that it speaks directly to your ideal client and really meets and solves their need. It can't be a book about you, because if you're unknown, then they don't care about you. They care about themselves. Now, it can be a book about your stories, but your stories as related to solving their problems. So we help our clients to do all this. We have 7 full-time writers that help them to write it. We then do the full book launch with the idea of creating that authority.
So some golden nugget right there. I want you guys to take that away. I know I just wrote it down. You've got make the book about them, not about you, right?
Yep.
Unless you're, one of the past presidents or Warren Buffett, nobody cares, right?
Dude, even that, I mean, we did a book for Lena Lewis. He's the former U.S. ambassador to South Africa. He worked in the Clinton administration, worked directly with Nelson Mandela. Prior to that, he was the CEO of NPR, National Public Radio. And he wanted to write his memoir. This was about 2 or 3 years ago, probably 3 years ago now when he came to me. And he wanted to write about himself. And even somebody that had that level of fame at that time, still, not enough people really know who he is, even though he's been at the height of business and the height of politics. And so we had to take his idea and still position it to speak to his ideal audience. Now he speaks at colleges and universities kind of on his third career all over the country because he's written something that meets their need, not just, builds up his ego, which that's not what he's about anyway. But writing about yourself, people aren't interested, even if you're semi-famous.
Yeah.
Now, if you're super famous, if you're Kim Kardashian, you can write about yourself.
People want to read about that. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. But if you're not Kim, I call it the Kim Kardashian conundrum. If you're not Kim Kardashian, you don't write a book about Kim Kardashian. You write a book about your audience.
So true. That's just a golden nugget. I find a lot of times people will focus on themselves and not focus on the audience and the people they're serving. So that's one first golden nugget. What's the next one you would say, Rob, if you're sitting down with somebody and they're coming to you and like, hey, I want to publish a story. I want to get my name out there. I want to generate new business, new clients and stuff like that. What is, some of the things you would do?
Well, there's a lot that I do, but here's what I tell them as far as a golden nugget. And this is probably really, really important. Most people that want to get their book published have a mindset of traditional publishing. I call it author 1.0. And if you take your book to a traditional publisher, if you have the cure for cancer in your book, then the traditional publisher is going to say, that is great. Now tell me, how big is your email list? How many Facebook friends do you have? How many Instagram followers do you have? How many Twitter followers do you have? In other words, you could have the most amazing story and the most amazing information, but all they're interested in is the size of your platform. The reason is because traditional publishers don't really sell books. What they do is they give you an agreement to become an employee of theirs and work for them to go sell your book to your platform, your audience.
Wow.
Now, most people that come to me don't have a massive platform. Some do. We're launching a book next week for Brandon and Kaylin Toole. Kaylin is the Lady Boss, ladyboss.com. She's got 1 million followers on social media. That book, she's got a huge platform. Plus, with our help, it's going to explode. Most people are not like that. I'm not like that. I have like 100,000 followers on social media. So what we tell our clients is, look, the way we do it and the way we can show you how to do it is you don't need traditional publishing. You don't need a platform. In fact, we can show you how to take your book and instead of needing a platform ahead of time, we'll build your platform while your book sells at the same time. That's a gold nugget. That's a cool thing because now you don't need the traditional publisher anymore because they're not going to do anything for you anyway. They're going to force you to do it with your own platform anyway. Does that make sense?
Absolutely. So they basically they're coming to, like, I walk in a traditional publisher and they want to see all the assets possibly that I have, unless I'm Kevin Hart, right? It has like a bazillion followers everywhere.
Totally.
Right? They're just kind of like, okay, we're not going to bother talking to you.
Exactly.
Interesting.
Or they'll offer you nothing. They'll offer you a few $1,000 and you'll sell away the, rights of your firstborn child for that. And so there's no benefit. And that's why even some of the big time guys that can command 7-figure advances like a Seth Godin, like a Tim Ferriss, are now keeping the publishing rights for themselves because they have the following. They have the base. They don't need a traditional publisher at all anymore. In fact, because of Amazon and the tools we have, nobody does, which is pretty cool. The whole industry.
Don't let the publishers hear that.
Yeah, well, let them hear that. And don't be intimidated because if you go for a traditional publishing deal, just expect that's what you're going to hear. You're going to hear, how big is your email list? How many social media followers do you have? And they're going to make you feel bad if it's 50,000 or 100,000 or nothing. So you don't need them to build your platform. You don't need a platform ahead of time. You can use your book to build your following at the same time.
So if if I'm a person who has a large Facebook following and has, a lot of fans, email list, all that kind of stuff, I would just come to you and you could help me produce a best-selling book, and then I could get it out to my list and then position myself properly. That's what you're saying, right?
Well, yes and no. I'm saying that most of my clients don't have those massive assets, even though they're very, very successful people. And we take our assets, we take paid advertising, massive social media, press releases, a big launch, plus our personal platform, and we make our clients bestsellers, legitimate bestsellers, even if they don't have 5 people on their email list.
Wow.
Now, if
That's
somebody
huge.
if they have a massive platform also, Daryl, then it's like 2 rocket boosters sending them
Got
up.
it. It's like a left and a right at the same time.
Yeah. I mean, and if you got both those, then it's good.
Yeah. That's awesome. So that's huge. So I don't even have to have a huge following, have a whole list, and I can come to you and you help me do everything, get my name out there. Talk about some of the successes you've had. I think it was, gosh, I don't know how many books I've seen that you put out there, but what was one of the
over 300 bestsellers.
Yeah, what was one of the biggest stories you'd say you've helped somebody get across that's out there?
There's probably a lot of ways to answer that. I mean, we've had clients that, have used their book and done 700,000 in revenue just in the first few months. We've had many clients do 100, 200, 300,000. I guess the ones that are most meaningful.
Is that just from book sales?
No way, man. Book sales are not where the revenue is. The revenue is in speaking engagements, lead generation, and in publicity, radio, TV, like real publicity. So now you're going to sell books and you're going to make some money doing that. But, like my first book has sold 35 or 40,000 copies. So I've made some money on it.
Sure.
But I haven't made millions. I've used the book to bring in millions of dollars in revenue, but not from royalties from all the other. I think
that's one of the things that people maybe don't understand is like, well, how do I use a book to make money? Right. Yeah. So share with me now a little bit, like I'm coming to you, you're going to help me make my book. But then what about the back end side of the process where I think a lot of people just kind of drop off. They don't understand that part.
Well, our program we call it Publish, Promote, Profit. And it's like a triangle. Publish is everything revolved around writing and publishing the book. Promoting is everything around legitimately making it a bestseller. And our guarantee is international bestseller. And then profit is everything around really making income from it. So to your question, the profit phase for us is all around 3 things. And that is using the book to get speaking engagements, both paid and free, using the book to get on real media, and using the book to make sales and generate leads for your business. And so when you have that kind of trifecta in place, then you can use your book to make, 100 times what you spend on it in even just months or the first year. If you just do a book and then cross your fingers that things are going to happen, then don't expect anything to happen, right? You legitimately have to have a plan and a strategy. And when you put those things together, man, it's like rocket fuel. It's explosive.
Yeah. Do you find that when most people come in, they aren't as familiar with doing the marketing aspect behind it, and that's why they're like, a lot of times people are experts in their field, but they don't understand the marketing side of things. And I see that your program would be a really great fit for somebody like that.
Yeah, here's what I tell people: Are you smart enough to figure out all this stuff on your own like I did in the last 9 years? Of course you are. And if you want to spend the next 9 years getting to the place that I am right now, then and you may be a lot smarter than me and you can figure it out a lot faster than me. But just the same way that, a dentist, goes to medical school for years so they can learn how to fill your cavity or pull your tooth, we have a process that works and that gives a guaranteed result. So, if a client wants to do this themselves, then, they can keep buying programs. I mean, you can buy this for $1,500 that'll teach you something, and this for $1,000 that'll teach you something, and this for $2,000. And for us, for our clients, we have some information stuff that we give out, but for our clients, it's like, look, I'm an expert at this. You're an expert at that. You do what you're good at. You help me to get the result that I want. So those are the people that are really great fits for us.
Great. What's one of the most touching stories you've actually helped produce?
When you say story, do you mean story of result that they've experienced, or story like that they've written about?
Both.
So story that they've written about, I'd say, we have a number of clients who that come to mind. I mean, we've done hundreds of these. So one that comes to mind was a cancer survivor, and she wrote a book about her cancer hacks, if you will, and lost her husband to cancer, and then contracted a serious form of cancer herself, but overcame that. And I think, what she does now, which is in the, physical health area and nutrition and et cetera, is all about helping people to experience the kind of results she did by overcoming it. And so it's a touching story because there's the tragedy of the loss of her husband, but then there's the success and the beauty of overcoming this terrible tragedy of her own cancer as well. And so I think, Daryl, you have a story, right? I mean, I got a story. Life is pain, right? Life is challenge. And so there aren't many people that come to us that don't have like some serious thing that they've cycled through that they have to give. That's one that comes to mind, but I could probably pick any book that we've done, and those are all of our clients' books, or at least many.
A large bookshelf.
That's a good size bookshelf. Yeah, pretty excited about that. That's not all of them, but that's a good number of them. Actually, a bunch we have in boxes because we just had the live event this past weekend, and we took some of them to the live event. But almost every one of those, there's a story involved of tragedy and success.
What's one of the ones that you'd say stands out as far as a case study you've done, you've helped people produce income off of, from getting their story out there to generate new leads for their businesses or getting sales, clients, stuff like that?
Yeah. There's so many I could share. I'll share about one that was in a similar industry to me because it's meaningful to me personally. I have others that have made even more money than this, but this was cool. So I had a client come to me, Karen Simpson-Hankins, who wanted to write a book on her real estate expertise. She had been in the mortgage industry for 37 years, came to us maybe 4 or 5 years ago at this point. And so we helped her with the book. We helped her launch it, become a bestseller. Her real goal, though, was, she's a single mom and she, very successful business person, but really wanted to go to the next level of success and also back away as much as possible from her business because her kids were at that formative, age where she needed to spend more time with them, not less time with them. And what she wanted the book to do was give her bigger opportunities on big stages, bigger opportunities in the media, and attract like the highest level of client to her so she could do less work, not more work. Does that make sense?
Yeah, absolutely.
Higher quality, more, higher fees, all that stuff. And so we launched her book, and she is a worker. And through the process, in the first year alone, she got over 100 radio interviews.
Wow.
On media, all through her book. So all over the country, 100 radio interviews. In fact, so many that one of the producers of the radio show said, you know what, you should have your own radio show because you're on radio 2 or 3 times a week as it is anyway. Why don't you just transition this thing to your own radio show? So she started her own radio show. When we helped launch her book, this was prior to the radio show, she got an opportunity for a speaking engagement through the launch of the book that we did. And this speaking engagement was on a stage to over 3,000 people.
Wow.
It was the first time she had ever been paid. It was the small fee, $2,500, but it was for 15 to 20 minutes, so short speech.
I'll get paid $2,500 for 15 minutes.
It's not bad, right? But here's the coolest thing. The coolest thing was this was a realtor convention. She's a mortgage consultant.
Oh, wow. So right to her target audience.
On stage, exactly.
Yeah. In
front of 3,000 real estate people. She got to sell her book, keep 100% of the proceeds. And from that, her business really exploded. Kind of the piece de resistance, the culmination of all this is, and this isn't overnight, right? This is over about a year, year and a half period.
She put in the work, though.
She put in the work, obviously with our help with the radio and the book launch and the speaking engagements, and she did the work She was a part of something called the National Association of Professional Women, the NAPW. If you look it up, it's an organization with 700,000 members. And during this time, when we did the book, launched the book, got speaking engagements, did all the radio, got her own radio show, she was made I think it was 2012 or 2013 NAPW Woman of the Year.
Wow.
And they gave her national press, national magazine, TV stuff. And so out of 700,000 professional women, because of all that she did, she sent me this beautiful email. Her business exploded. Everything happened the way she wanted it to, and was the Woman of the Year, for crying out.
I don't know how much better you can do, Rob. I mean, come on.
I can do better depending on what the goals are, right? I mean, I have clients that, have done $250,000 in the first 2 or 3 months, and all those kinds of things. But again, from the standpoint of like meaning in someone's life,
absolutely,
that was pretty cool. I mean, what she was wanting to do, and she still does her radio show. She has hundreds of thousands of listeners. She is attracting the absolute cream of the crop as far as clients go. She doesn't do a lot of speaking because she doesn't want to travel with her young children, but she's built this attraction model where her book and everything she's done is attracting. And what we like to say is you go from hunting for clients to being the hunted. And that allows you to pre-frame everything so that you're more valuable and you can charge higher fees and you work with people you want to work with.
Absolutely.
So that's a story for you anyway.
And absolutely. I know, Rob, you throw events. You had one last weekend, like we talked about, and you have, because of what you've done and stayed just your focus on being in this industry, you've attracted other people as well. Like you had somebody came last weekend from The Blind Side, the gentleman who came in and helped with that. So I think that's another cool thing is you're not only doing this, you're also bringing in some of your friends. I mean, I know there's business associates and stuff, but
that's really cool. That's new for us. In fact, I was just messaging him before we got on this, and his name is Nat Mundell. And this is an area of life an area of this part of the business that I've never really, done much in. More and more people are coming to us and they're interested in TV. They're interested in reality shows. We're interested in taking their nonfiction or fiction book and maybe looking at a screenplay and a movie. And that's just not been my world. But Nat and I became friends, and it's Nat's world. So his team has helped with taking best-selling books like The Blind Side and turning them into movies. The Sum of All Fears, which was Morgan Freeman, Ben Affleck years ago, they made that into a movie. I mean, they have a real incredible list of people that they've worked with to take their best-selling book idea and actually make it into a movie. So he came and spoke, did this long Q&A, and that's going to be a cool partnership with him and I, because I'm really excited about for that particular client. Not all of my clients that is applicable for,
sure,
but for the percentage that it is. We now have a direct in to the studios that are doing these things. So that's
huge.
Cool.
Wow. That's something cool. Maybe in the future you're able to offer out to your clients. I mean, near
future, my friend, near future. We're already putting it in place. I mean, all the people that signed up at my event, for bestseller publishing to help them, I went ahead and I bought Nat's time and program for each one of those people.
Whoa!
So as a bonus, basically, I said, I'm buying you one-on-one time with Nat, the owner of the company. You're going to get one-on-one time with one of the executive producers that you choose. That he's got 100 of them that do TV, everything, and you're going to get his full program. For no additional charge. I basically bought it for him. So that was pretty cool.
That was amazing. Neat. So one of the things I want to just highlight is the way you and I met. We were in Russell Brunson Mastermind together. You're sitting next to me. We just started cracking jokes.
We did. That's what we do, man. That's what we do.
and I'm sitting there. And the thing is guys, I want you to take away as well as you are who you surround yourself with. So as here it is, Rob and I are working together here, but we started this relationship over 2-3 years ago now at this point.
Oh yeah.
And
exactly.
And it wasn't one of those things where like, hey, how do you make money together and stuff? It's like, no, you just become friends and relationships, but you get around it because you invest into yourself. Invest into yourself and take the time to go to masterminds, to travel, to meet with people, to go to networking events and business events. And it's the same way you're now being, it could be soon best producing movies pretty soon, right?
Yeah.
I mean, like that would be
You
pretty
never know,
awesome.
right? That'd be pretty cool. And I'm still in Russell's mastermind. It's been 3 years now for me.
Yeah.
We helped Russell launch his book. I was one of the top affiliates launching .com Secrets. And this year we're helping him launch his new book. Plus I'm doing PR for Russell. So Russell is, we're going to get him on TV, radio, and he doesn't like to travel, but we're going to force him to travel and
a little bit,
TV stuff. And because this book, the Expert Secrets book, the new one that's coming out, is not just for the internet marketing crowd. So there's like a real grassroots opportunity for anybody to learn from this book. So we think this book can be really, really huge. So I love Russell. I know you do too.
Yeah, absolutely. Any gold nuggets you can share out of the Expert Secrets? So
I'm
looking forward to reading that, actually.
Yeah, I do have an advanced copy. I got it from Russell because, we're starting to do the marketing for him. It's all I'll say is it's fantastic because what it does is it takes a step back and it first and foremost gets you believing the average person. You already believe this because of your mindset, but it gets the average person to the point where they really can see what their expertise is and how then to take that expertise and monetize it. And we live in a day and age with the internet and with the great segmentation opportunities that there are out there, that anybody with expertise can find an audience. I mean, it's the reason we have 1,500 television channels, right? It used to be a big deal to have ESPN, right? Like, wow, we have a sports channel. How amazing.
Now they have like 4 ESPNs.
Well, not only that, we have the NBA channel, the NFL network, we have NFL Live, we have, the hockey channel, we have, underwater basket weaving channel. I mean, it's like
they're all out
there. Segmented. And you can do the same thing for your expertise. So Expert Secrets is all about that. It's really good. Really, really good.
That's cool. I'm looking forward to getting my hands on that. So Robert, if there was one thing you'd say possibly to your younger self and you're having a conversation like, man, this is something I really want to share to possibly the point where you're at the lowest point in your life on business and you're just like frustrated, the entrepreneur that's possibly out there and like, man, is this worth continue on doing? Is it worth continuing going up that mountain? Because as you know, from being at the, being up here on the mountain now at this point, looking down, there's some points down there. You're like, man, that really sucked, but I'm glad I kept going. What words of encouragement or what lessons would you like to share with that person?
Yeah, this is easy, actually. That person being me or that person being anybody.
That person being you at that point.
Yeah, and I don't care if it was me talking to me when I was at the height or at the bottom. This is what I would say. I would say you are going to fail, and it's totally cool. It's totally fine. Don't be afraid of failure. In fact, embrace it. Like expect it. When you're at the height, you don't stay there, right? That's why NFL players go broke, right? That because they think the money's always going to be coming in. They keep spending it like it's always going to be coming in. And when they're at the bottom, or when I'm at the bottom, or when you're at the bottom, you're not going to stay there. You're going to get up. You're going to get off the bottom. And so this is something I tell my kids. I'm like, look, don't be afraid to fail. Just don't be. Like, go after what it is you want to go after, even if it seems crazy. Do the things that you want to do, even if you think, I don't have a chance. I don't have a shot at this. Put that out of your mind and go for it because, you're going to advance. You're going to move forward. And failure is not fatal. The only thing that's fatal is not trying in the first place. And that leads to incredible regret. So
yeah, I was looking at saying like failure. There's no failure. There's only feedback. I mean, if we would have, essentially it was a Thomas Edison with a light bulb. If he hadn't, there's actually a quote. I looked it up. Honestly, it's over 3,000 times he tried to create a light bulb. It said, and if he hadn't, if he had stopped any point in time, we might not have a light, but he continued to figure out a new way not to make light eventually until he found the way to make it. So
exactly.
It just goes right into that.
Yeah, and I've used a strong word by saying don't be afraid to fail, that you're going to fail. I know that's a strong word. And you're right. There is no failure. There's only feedback. That's kind of the point. The point is like, don't be afraid of this. It's just a word. It's meaningless. Instead, put the fear aside and do what you want to do. I mean, look, I'm not a kid anymore. And I've cycled a couple of times in business, in life. The reality is that the only things that you're going to regret are the things that, maybe you thought, I should have gone out, gone after that goal. I should have tried that thing in business. I should have, those are the things you're going to look back and you can't change that. So that's what I would tell myself. That's what I tell my kids.
Tell us about your kids a little bit. So one of the things I remember, we were at dinner and stuff like that, and you told your son you love him.
Yeah.
You know, and that really
I love my kids.
That really stuck with me because a lot of times people just don't verbalize it. I know I do, but I mean, I know you're really close with your sons and your wife, and you have a great relationship and stuff. And tell us about some of the secrets behind running a successful business, but at the same time, having a good relationship with your family and how you keep that work-life balance going forward.
Yeah. Good question. I've been married 27 years.
Congratulations.
Woo. Thank you. Probably if you were to ask me, like, what's the thing you're most proud of? Obviously, I'm proud of what we've done with BSP. I'm proud of my staff. I'm proud of my clients. But, to be married 27 years and have a great marriage and be happily married, dude, I'm proud of that. I'm proud of my children. I love my children. I have 3 boys, 25, 22, and I have a 16-year-old. And the 16-year-old, I'm the best thing in the world because I just bought him a car. So, I'm going to ride that as long as I can, right? You know what I mean?
I think I saw you post a picture. What car did he get?
He got a Mini Cooper. So
cool.
Mini Cooper S. It's a cool car. Easy to drive, like a little go-kart on the road. But, hey, I'm going to ride that as long as I can. The fact that I bought him a car. So, no, my kids, I'm proud of them. And I look back and I also see my mistakes and I go, maybe I was too hard on there. Maybe I was too soft on there. Who knows? I mean, we're figuring this out as we go.
Yeah.
But ultimately, I think the most important thing is I want a relationship with my kids, that, whenever they're facing a challenge in their life or whenever they have fears or difficulties that they can come back to me, that they can, ask me, hey, Dad, what would you do? What do you think? And I think one of the most important things is maintaining that relationship. Doesn't mean I'm their friend. I'm still their dad. It doesn't mean that I'll always give them the best advice, but I want them to know that there is nobody in this world that is, going to freaking care more about them than I do. And I'm going to tell them, the truth. So I'm fortunate, man. I can't tell you how fortunate I am to have the family that I do.
You are blessed, brother. You are blessed.
That's right. Right.
Congratulations.
Thanks, man.
I'll transition, Rob, and say, what's the best way for somebody to get a hold of you who wants to become a bestseller for themselves and reach out to you and get a hold of you?
Facebook is great. They're probably seeing this on Facebook. So Facebook, they can go to my website, which is bestsellerpublishing.org. And there's lots of free resources and stuff there if somebody wants to just learn, about us or, learn how to do some of this stuff on their own. So, but I'm happy to, if someone reaches out to me on Facebook or private message me, generally speaking, I'm always pretty quickly going to respond back and, help in any way that I can.
And I know you got a pretty large fan page there. I think over 100,000 people on your fan page.
Yeah,
so,
that's
be patient if you reach out and you don't hear something right away, guys.
Please do. And if you could reach out on my personal page, that would probably be better. Although I'm pretty close to my limit on friends. So either one. And I don't check the fan pages every single day. Obviously, I'm on the other pages, but if somebody does reach out on there, within 24, 48 hours, I can usually get back.
Cool. All right, Rob, appreciate you coming out today. Again, guys, get a hold of Rob if you want to become a bestseller, if you want to get out there and get your story across and get on national TV, radio, speaking engagements, pretty soon movies, right? So
yeah, man. How cool will that be?
I want to go to the red carpet. I want to get to the red carpet.
We have had one client whose book we launched, a movie, a studio picked it up.
That's
but
so cool.
I did, that was like by accident. That was because
you weren't even trying. Now you're focused.
Now we're actually trying.
Next year at this time, you'd be like, I've got 5 movies out,
Wouldn't that be cool, man?
That'd be awesome. Cool. All right, Rob, I appreciate it, man. I'll see you later.
All right, brother. Thank you.